The grandfather paradox. What if you erased your own existence? Imagine you step into a time machine and travel back several decades to meet your grandfather before your parent was even born. Suppose, whether intentionally or accidentally, you cause your grandfather's untimely death. The result? Your parent is never born, and by extension, you should never exist. This is the core of the infamous grandfather paradox, an unsettling idea that challenges the very fabric of cause and effect. This paradox highlights a profound contradiction. If you were never born, how could you go back in time to commit the act that prevented your birth? The moment you erase your own existence, you also remove the cause that triggered the effect. It's a loop with no resolution, a snake eating its own tail. Philosophers and scientists have grappled with this dilemma for decades. Some suggest that time travel to the past is impossible precisely because of paradoxes like this. Others propose solutions involving branching timelines or parallel universes, realities where killing your grandfather creates a new timeline where you never existed. But your original timeline remains intact. This leads to a deeper question. Is the past fixed and immutable, or can it be altered? If changing the past is possible, does that mean free will extends beyond time itself? Or is time travel limited by the universe's need for consistency? The grandfather paradox doesn't just entertain science fiction fans, it forces us to rethink causality, identity, and the limits of human control. It suggests that the past is a delicate structure that cannot be tampered with without unraveling the present. Or perhaps more disturbingly, it suggests we read part of a deterministic timeline, where even our interference was always meant to happen. Either way, one thing is certain. Time travel may not only be dangerous, it could be logically impossible. The butterfly effect. Can small changes destroy the future? What if stepping on a single butterfly in the past could trigger a hurricane in the future? This is the essence of the butterfly effect, a concept born from chaos theory, but popularized in time travel stories. It suggests that even the smallest alteration in the past could cascade into massive, unforeseeable consequences. The idea is simple, yet powerful. Every event, no matter how minor, sets off a chain reaction. Change one element in the sequence, and you shift everything that follows. In the context of time travel, this means that even the most innocent action, like picking a flower or saying hello to the wrong person, could alter the course of history. Imagine traveling back to the dinosaur era and accidentally scaring a small mammal, causing it to flee and die. That creature might have evolved into a key ancestor of a species that eventually became humanity. That moment of fear could erase everything we know. The butterfly effect raises questions about control and predictability. We ever fully understand the consequences of our actions? If not, then any attempt to change the past is inherently dangerous. It's a warning about the limits of human foresight and the illusion of control over time. This paradox also feeds into anxiety about our present decisions. If the future is so fragile, are we constantly shaping it with every move? Or is the universe more resilient than we think? Some scientists believe only major changes would shift history, while others argue that the smallest disturbance could cause total divergence. Ultimately, the butterfly effect forces us to respect the past as a complex, interconnected system, one that might not forgive tampering. Time travel, then, becomes less of a solution and more of a risk, a gamble with existence itself. The loop trap. Stuck in a time paradox forever, what happens if your future causes your past causes your future in an endless loop? This is the loop trap, a mind-bending paradox where time folds in on itself and events become self-originating. Picture this. A scientist receives a blueprint for a time machine from a mysterious visitor. She builds it, travels back, and realizes that the visitor was her. Where did the original idea come from? Nowhere or everywhere. It simply exists in the loop, passed from future to past and back again. The loop trap defies our understanding of cause and effect. Instead of a straight line, time becomes circular. There's no true beginning or end, only an eternal cycle. These loops are often portrayed in films and literature as tragic, inescapable, and deeply philosophical. This paradox raises haunting questions. Are we trapped by our choices, forever repeating them? If time is a loop, is everything predetermined? Could your actions today be part of a cycle you can't escape, already written in the fabric of time? Some theories suggest that such loops could exist in a stable time loop where the timeline resists paradoxes by adjusting itself. Events always happen the same way, even if we try to change them. Others believe time loops are signs of broken logic and hint that time travel is impossible. But perhaps these loops aren't glitches, they're clues. Clues that time isn't linear, that reality is more flexible than we ever imagined. If time can loop, then maybe life does too. Maybe reincarnation, déjà vu, and fate are just reflections of these cosmic cycles. The loop trap is terrifying and beautiful. It suggests that time is not just a river, but a whirlpool. Parallel universes. Do time travelers split reality? If you go back and change something, does it affect your world or create a new one? This is where parallel universe theory comes into play, offering a way out of time travel paradoxes by multiplying reality itself. Imagine you travel back and prevent a major event, say the fall of the Roman Empire. Instead of overwriting history, you've now created a second timeline where Rome never fell. Your original timeline remains unchanged, but you're no longer in it. You've split reality like a fork in the road. This theory is comforting because it avoids contradictions. Kill your grandfather. Fine, just created a world where you were never born, but your original self still exists in another universe. It's clean, logical, and wildly complex. Physicists exploring quantum mechanics have found support for this idea. The many worlds interpretation of quantum theory suggests that every decision spawns a new universe. Each possibility plays out in a different branch of reality. If true, time travel doesn't just involve movement through time, but across infinite versions of existence. But this leads to new questions. If every choice creates a universe, is anything truly unique? Are we one of infinite versions of ourselves? And if you can never return to your original timeline, is it truly you that went back in time more, just a copy diverging? Parallel universes are seductive in fiction because they offer freedom. You can change things without consequence. But they also make life feel fragile, just one of countless possible outcomes. Time travel might not shatter reality. It might fracture it into endless mirrors. The more we try to control the past, the more realities we leave behind. Future knowledge paradox. The originalist invention. Suppose someone gives you a brilliant idea, say the design for a revolutionary machine. You build it, become famous, and years later, travel back to hand the idea to your younger self. Where did the idea originally come from? This is the future knowledge paradox, a time loop where information or inventions seem to appear out of nowhere. They exist because they're passed from the future to the past and back again, but at no point is there a true creator. The idea is originalist. It's an intellectual magic trick. The information has no starting point, it just exists within the loop. In theory, this violates the conservation of information. Something is created from nothing, and that breaks both logic and physics. Philosophically, this raises unsettling questions about creativity and ownership. Can you claim to have invented something if you only got the idea from your future self? And if the loop is infinite, is the invention truly new, or just preserved knowledge masquerading as discovery? The paradox also touches on themes of destiny and determinism. If future knowledge is inevitable, can you ever escape the path set before you? Or are you just following a script that never had a beginning? Some scientists suggest this paradox might be resolved by quantum uncertainty or branching timelines, where the act of bringing knowledge back creates a new reality where it originated. But even then, the question remains, who was the first thinker? The future knowledge paradox reveals how slippery time can be. Tricks us into thinking we understand cause and effect until cause vanishes and only effect remains. It's a paradox not just of time, but of thought itself. The observer effect, changing the past by seeing it. Can simply observing the past change it? The observer effect, often discussed in quantum physics, suggests that the act of observation can alter the outcome of a phenomenon. But what happens when we apply this concept to time travel? Imagine going back in time just to watch history unfold. No interference, just observation. But in a world where perception affects reality, is it truly possible to be a passive viewer? What if your mere presence creates a ripple, however small, that alters everything? In quantum mechanics, particles behave differently when they're being observed. This leads to a chilling possibility in time travel, that simply witnessing an event might shift it. You don't need to speak, touch, or intervene. Your consciousness might be enough to change the timeline. This paradox challenges the idea of safe time travel. It raises the question, is the past ever truly stable? Or is it like a fragile painting one that flakes and cracks the moment you get too close? Some theories suggest the universe might self-correct minor disturbances, keeping the timeline intact. But others argue that even tiny observational effects can lead to chaos, especially when compounded over time. It also introduces a philosophical dilemma. Are we ever truly separate from what we experience? Even as passive observers, our thoughts, presence, and awareness might be part of a feedback loop with time itself. The observer effect in time travel reminds us that detachment may be a myth. To see is to touch. To witness is to alter. And to travel in time even with the purest of intentions might change everything just by looking. Time tourism gone wrong? What if everyone could time travel? Imagine if time travel became commercialized. It's no longer reserved for scientists or secret labs, but available to the public like vacation packages. Welcome to the age of time tourism and the chaos that comes with it. At first, it sounds exciting. See the dinosaurs. Watch the pyramids being built. Attend Shakespeare's first performance. But with freedom comes risk. What happens when thousands of tourists flood the past, snapping selfies during key historical moments, unintentionally disrupting the flow of history? The dangers multiply quickly. Someone brings back a virus. Another accidentally inspires a dictator. A third leaves behind technology that reshapes civilization centuries early. These small mishaps could stack into devastating ripple effects. Governments would have to regulate time travel like nuclear weapons. Laws, licenses, restrictions, but black markets would thrive. Time smugglers might sell exclusive futures or even kidnap historical figures. On a deeper level, time tourism raises ethical questions. Should the past be a playground? Do ancient societies deserve their privacy? Could time travel become a new form of colonialism, exploiting the past for profit? Then there's the issue of paradox. What if two tourists unknowingly cause the same change in different ways? Does the timeline fracture, merge, or collapse? Ultimately, the fantasy of time tourism reveals a truth about human nature. Even with all the power in the universe, we're still reckless. Our desire to explore often outruns our wisdom. The past isn't a theme park, and some timelines should never be ticketed. Destiny versus free will. Are time travelers just puppets? Time travel introduces a brutal tension between destiny and free will. If you can travel through time, can you change your fate, or are you simply walking a path that was already written? Many time travel stories explore this dilemma. A person goes back to stop a tragedy only to cause it. They try to rewrite their life only to find themselves in the same place. The harder they fight destiny, the more tightly it grips them. This idea is tied to the concept of a self-consistent timeline, where events unfold exactly as they always did. Time resists paradoxes. You are always meant to go back. You are always meant to fail or succeed. But this can feel suffocating. What's the point of time travel if you can't change anything? Where is your agency if your actions are predestined? Some scientists suggest that every action, even those meant to change the past, are part of the original timeline. You have free will, but within a script you don't realize you're following. Others propose multiverse theories to restore agency. Change something, and you simply jump to another timeline.
Ow.
But even that has limits. What if no matter how many times you try, the outcome is always the same? Time travel becomes a test of belief. Do you think you're free? Or are you just a puppet playing your part? The answer may shape not only how we understand time, but how we understand ourselves. The causality crisis. Can time travel break physics? Causality, the idea that cause leads to effect, is one of the foundations of our understanding of the universe. But time travel rips this foundation apart. If you can reverse cause and effect, what rules are left? The causality crisis begins when someone travels back in time and changes something that alters the future, including the very reason they went back. For example, a time traveler prevents a war, so now they have no reason to go back. But if they don't go back, the war happens. It's an unsolvable loop. This type of paradox isn't just philosophical, it's a physics nightmare. Our equations for energy, momentum, and entropy assume time moves in one direction. Break that, and the math falls apart. The universe might not know how to handle reversed causality. Some physicists believe time travel could only be possible under strict conditions that preserve causality. Others think that if it breaks causality, then it must be impossible. Still, a few bold thinkers propose that the universe might adapt, creating new laws or dimensions to accommodate paradoxes. But this crisis goes beyond numbers. It shakes the roots of human logic. If causes don't lead to effects, how do we make decisions? How do we predict anything? Causality is more than a scientific principle. It's how we understand life itself. Break it, and we're not just bending time, we're rewriting reality. Can you save the world before it ends? It's the ultimate time travel fantasy. Stop the apocalypse, prevent a war, halt climate collapse, save the world before it ends. But is it really that simple? First, you have to identify the exact moment where everything went wrong. One wrong assumption, and you might change the wrong event, or make things worse. You might delay disaster, not prevent it, or cause a new one altogether. Then there's resistance. Powerful people, systems, and events often have momentum. Even if you warn the right people, will they listen? Will they believe you? Will they act? There's also the heavy cost of knowledge. If you've seen the end of the world, can you live with that burden? What happens if you fail? Or if success costs something dear? Time travelers often face this dilemma. How much are you willing to sacrifice to save the future? Your identity, your life, your place in history? And even if you succeed, who decides what future is worth saving? One person's utopia might be another's nightmare. Trying to save the world isn't just a mission, it's a moral crucible. It forces you to confront your deepest values, fears, and flaws. Time travel won't make saving the world easier. It might just make the cost harder to bear. When you travel through time-changing events, interacting with people, possibly rewriting your entire personal history, what happens to your identity? Are you still you, or are you someone new? This is the heart of the time traveler's identity crisis, a paradox that asks, how much of who we are is tied to when we are? Your memories, values, relationships, all shaped by your timeline. But what if you alter it? If your childhood changes, do you become a different person with a new set of memories and motivations? Imagine traveling back and convincing your younger self to take a different path. You return to the present, but everything has changed. Your friends don't know you. Your home doesn't exist. Even your name might be different. Are you now a stranger in your own life? This paradox raises haunting philosophical questions. Is identity a constant, something unchangeable? Or is it constructed moment by moment from our context and experiences? Some argue that time travelers exist outside time, and their core identity remains stable despite changes around them. But others suggest that each timeline version is its own person, and jumping through time fragments the self. The emotional toll of this is enormous. You might become disconnected from your past, your relationships, your very sense of self. You might begin to question, was I ever real, or just a ghost drifting between versions of a life? Time travel may offer adventure and possibility, but it could cost you your very identity. Temporal assassination, killing Hitler, and the moral maze. It's one of the most famous ethical dilemmas in time travel. Would you go back and kill Hitler before he rose to power? It sounds like a noble mission. Save millions, prevent war, change history for the better. But the deeper you go, the murkier it becomes. First, there's the practical problem. Could you actually get close to him? Would the act itself change things for the better? Or unleash unintended consequences? What if someone worse took his place? What if the war started earlier, or lasted longer? Then comes the moral dimension. Is it right to punish someone before they've committed a crime? If you kill Hitler as a child, you're taking the life of an innocent. Does potential justify action? This paradox also touches on responsibility. Who decides who deserves to live or die in the past? And what if others followed your lead, targeting historical figures based on future crimes? Time travel becomes a weapon, and morality becomes subjective. Some argue that preventing atrocities is worth any cost. Others say that altering time undermines the lessons history teaches us. If we erase the horrors, we might also erase the progress born from their memory. Ultimately, the temporal assassination paradox forces us to wrestle with ethics, justice, and fate. It's not just a question of could you, but should you? And once you start rewriting history, where do you stop? Time dilation, And the real-life time travelers, not all time travel is fiction. Thanks to Einstein's theory of relativity, we know that time dilation, the stretching or compression of time, based on speed and gravity, is a real measurable phenomenon. It means that technically time travel into the future is already happening. Here's how it works. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. If you fly in a spaceship near the speed of light, time would pass much more slowly for you than for someone on Earth. You might age a few months, while decades pass back home. Astronauts on the International Space Station experience this, albeit on a tiny scale. Because they orbit Earth at high speeds, they age slightly less than people on the surface. They are, by definition, modern-day time travelers. This opens a fascinating door. We don't need fantasy to touch the edges of time travel. It's already baked into the universe. It's a real challenge is scaling it, building ships or technologies that allow significant jumps. But time dilation also comes with emotional and social consequences. Imagine returning to Earth and finding everyone you loved has aged or died. The world has moved on without you. Is it still your world? This paradox blends science and humanity. We may conquer time physically, but emotionally, we might never catch up. Artificial intelligence and time. Can AI predict or alter the past? What happens when artificial intelligence meets time travel? Could an advanced AI fed with every piece of historical data simulate the past so accurately that it becomes indistinguishable from the real thing? Or even more shockingly, could it find ways to rewrite it? AI already reshapes how we understand history, uncovering lost texts, simulating extinct languages, and predicting trends. But with enough power and access, it could simulate entire timelines, virtual recreations so detailed that they feel real. So, if you can enter that simulation, have you traveled through time? Now imagine an AI that controls a time machine. It doesn't just simulate possibilities, it tests them over and over. Millions of versions of history, tweaked until it finds the best one. Should it then overwrite reality with its optimized timeline? This creates a paradox of machine morality. If AI can change the past, who programs its ethics? What if its version of better eliminates certain cultures, events, or people? It also raises existential fears. What if we're living in one of those simulations now? What if AI already altered time and we're the result? When intelligence meets time, the consequences multiply. It's no longer about saving the past. It's about who gets to define it. The end of time. What happens when you run out of time to change the past? All time travel stories carry a clock, a countdown, a deadline. But what if you failed to change the past in time? What if you run out of opportunities to fix what's broken? This is the final paradox, the moment when time itself runs out. Maybe you've tried to prevent disaster again and again. But each return brings worse consequences. Eventually the machine breaks, the timeline locks, or the world ends before you can jump again. You've run out of tries. This paradox explores regret, exhaustion, and the human need for closure. We often wish we could go back and do a mistake, save a loved one, fix the wrongs. But time is merciless. There comes a point when no more changes can be made. When history is set in stone, the question then becomes, can you live with what happened? Can you accept that not all things are meant to be undone? There's a quiet power in this idea, that sometimes the best we can do isn't to rewrite the past, but to face it, learn from it, and build a better future in its shadow. The end of time isn't the end of hope. It's a call to make peace with our limits and to act while we still have the chance.